Hey, Timothy, I'm glad you could join us today. Another episode here of Cabbage Coins podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Have you seen any previous episodes, or is this your first experience in the whole Cabbage Coins environment here?
Hi, Tony. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on today. So I've actually watched, I believe, every single episode that you've had on so far.
Okay, good. I put you on the spot. I did not warn you about having a question like that. Yeah, I should ask all my guests whether they've ever seen the podcast before they we get started. But anyways, so I met Timothy over at the A&A summer seminar. The American Numismatics Association has a summer seminar. It's an education seminar. It hosts a lot of different courses in 2 different weeks. Anyways, Timothy and I were both in the advanced grading and problem coins seminar, and he was the group finalist. We split into 3 different groups, and all the people that we were all grading coins. Timothy was one of the best graders, and so they selected him to be the finalizer, and that's kind of in line with how the grading companies work, is that the one final person, typically like a senior grader, gets to have the final kind of say of what this coin is going to grade as before it goes onto the slab. And so we had some practice with doing consensus grading. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, consensus grading. So we all discussed what a grade could be, and then Timothy finally put his final stamp of approval, on the grade. So anyways, so coming back from that, well, first off, I mean, just what did you think of the ANA Summer Seminar?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, really. It was probably the most intense, 5 days of advanced coin grading I've ever experienced in my entire life. And it was really great because, the instructors, Don Ketterling, Ken Park, Jeff Garrett, they were phenomenal instructors, wealth of knowledge, really. And they were all very, very analytical when it comes to explaining why a coin is a certain grade. Why is this a 66 and not a 66 plus? And so that
Yeah.
aspect of it was really, really eye-opening. And yeah, when it comes to the actual, final grade, I was very fortunate to have really great team members, including you, Tony, who were able to really
Oh,
help me with,
thanks.
what really finalizing what the grade really is, in our opinion, at least.
Yeah. I thought it was a fantastic course, just so for the same reasons. I did a podcast with the Coin Geek on also another YouTube channel. We talked specifically about this A&A summer seminar, and for me, it's great for the relationship building. I think it's one of the key aspects. Like when you go around a coin show, you spend a short period of time doing business with people. You might go out to dinner with somebody, some friends you make, but it's rare to spend like 4 or 5 days with the same people, for a number of hours within a classroom, doing breaks together, doing meals together at the chow hall. That was a really great experience. And every time I come back to the seminar, I ended up making really solid friends in this industry that I end up, creating good friendships with, moving forward. So, yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Now, you just also came back from another similar kind of like concentrated seminar, or what exactly was it? It was with Stax Bowers, right?
Right, correct. Yeah, so it's called PNP. It's the Professional Numismatist Program, and this is like the third year doing
Okay.
it. And so yeah, it's pretty much 1 week, and it's 25 students from the ages of 18 to 25. And yeah, it was a really great week where we delved into a lot of different topics in the coin industry. So we talked about also advanced coin grading. We also touched on bullion trading, how Stacks operates as a business. And there's also different electives that we can take. For example, there was like photography elective, how to take photos of
Hmm.
coins, learning
Hmm.
about banknotes and just currency in general, world currency. And we also there was
Okay.
also an elective about like ancients. And so yeah, it was overall just a
Oh,
really,
wow.
really nice and very well organized program.
What was the takeaway? Did you learn something particular there that you took away that it was really kind of eye opening?
Yeah, so I rarely dabble in paper money, and one of the electives I personally took was paper money. I took it with Peter and Eris, who are in the World Coin department there, and it was just really fascinating. It was really eye-opening to see like different kinds of notes that the U.S. produced, and so that's something that I'm
Hmm.
considering going into as well later down the road. Besides just tone
Yeah.
coins. So yeah, that, but also just being able to, talk to the instructors there, the Stacks staff, and also just a lot of the students, getting to know how they got started in the industry. And I hate to use this term, but I guess quote unquote networking. But yeah, overall,
Okay.
there's quite a few takeaways for sure.
I just came back from the Baystate Coin Show in outside of Boston in a place called Marlborough, and I promised everyone to get a little bit of a review or just a couple words about how the show went. The show was surprisingly really busy. It was awesome to see the energy within the room. It was about 100 dealers. It was my first time doing the actual show, and I had one of the best shows that I've ever had. Not just for a small regional show, a local kind of regional show like the Baystate Show, but just in general, in terms of I've done the phone show, I've done the A&A World's Fair of Money. Maybe this has to do with how my business is growing. What was super surprising was how many people came up to the table and recognized me from this podcast already. Like I've only had 4 episodes, and people recognize me already. And actually, yeah, they were like, oh, I think I know you from somewhere, or whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, except the podcast, yeah. So anyway, that was really cool. I thought it was a really fantastic little regional show. So, diving into what it is you do. So, you become well known for your eye for toning, not just for the Morgan dollar, though, but also for like dimes, quarters, half dollars. How did you first get into that side of the market?
Yeah, so I got in market when I first started in about 2013, I'd say, when my mom first bought me a red book. It was $9.95, and she purchased it for me for $10. I got a Buffalo nickel and change. That's what really got me hooked. And then over time, as I got a little bit more involved by going to different coin shows, and really just doing online searches about how much auction records for really cool coins we're going for. And then over time, I saw wow, these coins that have color on them. Why are these going for like 10x? A regular blast white example would go for. And from
Mm-hmm.
there, I'm just like, I was
Mm-hmm.
just really shocked by how unique these types of tone coins were. And so over time, I started to go into that direction. Just really nice high eye appeal coins.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think? So we just did a full episode about Rainbow Morgans, and it was a great little like introduction, a little taster for folks. We looked at some really pretty spectacular toning. It was a very great educational episode. But you've also carved out a niche in some of the more overlooked denominations with regard to color. So why do you? In my opinion, I mean, in your opinion, why do you think like Roosevelt dimes or Washington quarters can be just as interesting, or maybe if not more so than Morgans?
Yeah, I think first of all they're overlooked primarily because of their size, right? It's a smaller canvas. Like you look at Silver Eagles and like a Morgans that have really nice color, those typically would go for more just because, it's a bigger canvas. But yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many collectors out there that are putting together really nice sets PCGS registry sets of, Roosevelt dimes, Ike dollars, Washington quarters, and a large I guess a large part as to why people don't really look in that direction is because they would much rather have, a figure of the beautiful Lady Liberty instead of, a president that's, no longer with us. And so in that aspect,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I feel like a lot of people overlook it. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely for sure collectors out there who are willing to pay pretty good money for really nicely toned Roosevelt dimes, quarters, like dollars.
Yeah. Do you think the market is still catching up to the beauty of these quote unquote, less glamorous coins, the Roosevelt dimes and the Jefferson nickels, even the Washington quarter, these ones that can have the spectacular toning. Do you think the market's still kind of catching up to on the beauty of those, or are they still underrated in your opinion?
I would still say that they're pretty underrated, just because, like I said, the obverse isn't nearly as beautiful as a Morgan dollar for in most people's eyes. And yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I had a crystal ball, I would definitely know whether or not to buy more or less of those types of coins. But I think it's just because more modern coins, with color, can be a little bit more difficult to sell as well. A slightly smaller market with tone modern compared to earlier like Morgan or Trade Dollar or Mercury and Wheat Cent type of tone coins in that era. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's the market is still on its way to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's get into some of these examples. So you sent over a lot of really great pictures, and we got a bit of them here to go through, but I think all of it's going to be pretty educational and instructive. So I'm going to pause here just to share the screen, and we'll get back into it. Okay, so what I see on the screen is we have a Lincoln cent with some incredible color. We have a Roosevelt dime, whatever. We've got a Buffalo, sorry, we got a Washington
Washington quarter.
quarter. You can tell that I don't deal in these particular series at
Okay.
all. My coins are usually more older stuff. But anyways, and then we have the Franklin $50. All of these have spectacular toning to them. Give us a little lay of the land here, a little explanation of the platter here, so to speak, and what are we looking at in terms of kind of the grade of these coins, what type of toning this is, and approximately value.
Yeah, for sure. So this is pretty much a classic example of what we call mint set toning. So basically, the government they issued mint sets, double mint sets, more specifically from 1947 all the way until 1958, and it was during 56, 57, and 58 when these boards actually had produced a lot of really colorful tone coins, primarily just because of the sulfur content within these boards. And yeah, so first off, we have like 57D Lincoln Wheat set, which typically speaking isn't anything special. However, this has got really, really nice color. And so this one is actually in a 67 red brown holder, and it's a pop 11 with none finer. And so a coin like that with that kind of eye appeal would definitely trade in the 1500 to $2,000 mark. Yeah, and then like we also have like Roosevelt dime. This one's a pretty regular example of a common date with relatively nice color. Roosevelt dime. It's in 66 holder. It's about a $200 $300 coin. And
Okay.
yeah, and we also have the 57 quarter, which is also 66, around $200. 58D, this one is in a 66 plus FBL, right around $600.
Okay. So you mentioned these mint sets, and I've seen these before. They're like two cardboard like I don't know what you want to call them, I don't know, holders or two cardboard
Mhm.
pieces of cardboard basically that have the whole set of all of the business strike coins, which is an important piece, important point, because I know we have in the slides here a proof set. Do you also have a picture of the mint set, by the way,
I
in
do, yeah,
here?
it's on the
Is
very
it the
next
next,
one.
very next? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Let's take a look. So this is what a mint set would look like. As you can see, they would have two. It looks like of everything. So that you had the Franklin half, you had the Washington quarter, the Jefferson and the Roosevelt. One Jefferson, one no, two Jeffersons, two Roosevelts, and two Lincoln sets. And this was referred to as a mint set. And the key here is that these were all business strike coins. These were not proofs. There's also proof sets, which we'll get to in a second. A lot of people call me saying I've got mint sets to sell, and what they actually mean is they got proof sets to sell, or whatever, or they got these things they want to know what the value is of them. These mint sets are actually fairly rare to find today because I believe people mostly take the coins out because they've got spectacular toning usually, and they get them individually graded. Is that
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. So there was sulfur content kind of within the cardboard as well as within the paper, and that would be what kind of produced some of the toning that we saw on this other screen.
Mhm. Yeah, it was specifically 56, 57, and 58 is when you used a slightly different, I believe it was the paper material that had the sulfur content. So that's why a lot of 56,
I
57,
see.
and 58 business strike coins from these holders developed really, really nice color.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, let's move on. So we got some more Roosevelts here. This is from 1946. All of these. What can you tell me about the toning pattern of these?
Yeah, so those are what we call tab tone coins. So these are coins that were put in holders that had a little tab for the most part. There's also
Okay.
different version of it. And so these three in particular, there was a little tab that held the coin in place. And over usually the course of decades, the really nice toning would develop from sulfur within these paper-like
It's all
envelopes,
about the
if you will.
sulfur. Yeah.
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 And so yeah, it's
Is this kind of an example of one of those holders or
right.
that would
Mhm.
produce a tab or
Yeah, so this is the one I couldn't find one that had specifically just that one tab right across in the middle. This is more of like half of the coin where it's showing. So, usually like half of the coin would be toned, the other half would be like a different color, or sometimes even almost blast white with very little toning. But yeah, these
Mm,
were often kept in these types of holders. And it was a lot of these are like kind of promotional holders
yeah.
where you can like save your change. As you can see there, there's like every single dime you put in, it adds up by 10 cents all the way until $3.
This is so it's so interesting that that we used to because I don't know if this was like a kid's this was like a gift or something that you would give to like a child, say hey save up your money and it'll teach you that 10 cents a week or something adds up to $3. Now you can spend some buy something for $3.
Mhm.
I just don't know if we do things like this today. This is actually
Probably
I
not.
think it's I
Inflation.
think this prob yeah your $3 can now get you I don't even know if it can get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Probably not.
Maybe actually, yeah, it depends depending on where you're at. If you're in an airport, no. If you're in the middle of like where I live here in farm country, yeah, I think we could get you a cup of coffee for $3. But interesting stuff. So that type of thing would produce like this tab toning kind of color, and coins like this. I really like actually these. So these are 1946 is not a difficult date, and in terms of grades, these look to be definitely within that realm of like a 66. I mean, you're the finalist. You tell me.
Yeah, so these are coins that are all three graded actually 67, which typically 66, 67
Okay.
for this type of coin really doesn't. There's really not much difference in terms of price. But yeah, I mean, for example, the top one right there, that one is the prettiest for the most part. It's got better color, deeper, richer
Mm-hmm.
color. So that coin I'd say it's right around $300, and the bottom two are roughly probably like $200 each.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, but if you get them in like mercury dimes that have this type of toning, it's definitely going to be worth more.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I like the color here, and I like the fact that for $200, I can kind of get some pretty awesome looking coin here of Franklin Roosevelt. Nice, very nice. Let's move on here. So now we have this is definitely a proof. I need to do an episode. Well, I know I'm doing an episode on coin grading, and in that episode, we're going to talk about the difference, clear cut sign differences between proofs and business strike coins. This is a proof. You can tell mostly through the reflective surfaces as well as the wire edge or the how well the edges of the coin are finished off. But anyways, so tell us a little bit about this, how this was produced, because this would have come in a proof set, right? Which are the cellophane packets. I think we got a picture of it here. This is what a proof set, looks like from the Treasury Department. This is usually what people think of. They call them these mint sets. These are actually proof set. These are all proof coins, and you actually can see that little the Jefferson nickel here actually having the same kind of tone. So, what produced this kind of color? Was it the cellophane, or what was going on?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, so this is a classic example of cellophane or cellotoning, and basically, from what I understand, the government tried to mess with some of the like different dips with these coins that were proofs. And I believe it was from 1959 to around 1964 where a lot of these types of cellophane toned coins were produced. A large majority of these are nickels. Some of them are also the cents as well that come with color. But yeah, for the most part, they were the proof nickels that develop this pretty nice color. Usually they do trade for a premium, but not a very big premium.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a proof Jefferson nickel. So, I mean, roughly how much would something like this with the cellophane toning color go for?
Mhm. Yeah, so I believe this was a 66, proof 66 coin, if I recall it correctly. It's probably right around $100.
$100. Interesting. Interesting. I was gonna say it's about the cost of a nice meal or so. You can have yourself a cellophane colored Jefferson nickel, or you can have a nice steak dinner. I guess your choice. Depending on my company, I might go for the Jefferson nickel. So, moving on here. So, okay, I love these. These all have really nice color. So we have again the buffalo. I'm sorry. Why do I keep calling this? This
I
is
think you
a
like buffalo
Washington
nickels too much,
quarter.
Danny.
What?
Oh, I said I think you love. I think you like buffalo nickels too much. It's a very pretty
It's
design. I
actually
have to
one of
admit,
my
I
least
love the
favorite.
buffalo nickel design as well. So
Yeah, I just sold a three-legged buffalo at this last show, and it was actually probably within the number of buffalo nickels I've had in my inventory have been less than 10. I think in all the years of doing it so far, I've had less than 10 buffalo nickels. Um, so I don't know. It just must be on the brain right now. I don't know. But anyways, this is actually one of my favorite coins because this is the bicentennial quarter, and the bicentennial quarter had the little drummer boy. And so as a kid, in 1982, I was born. In the 80s, I would look through change and I would find these drummer boy bicentennial quarters, and I always thought that was super cool and they were interesting. But that's what this is. This must have been a proof. So this was silver, right?
Yeah, these are all business strikes.
Oh, these are all business strikes.
Correct.
So, but the business strike though was clad. So, tell me about the toning here in the clad coin.
Yeah, for sure. So, similar to you, Tony, this is 1976 is one of my favorite years for really nicely toned coins. But yeah, these three coins, they're typically from third-party sets, and because it was a bicentennial year, there were a lot of these third-party sets that were produced to house these types of coins, and over time, the sulfur from these cardboard sets would leach onto the coins themselves and develop a very thin layer of toning. A large majority of them have peripheral toning along the edges. And yeah, I mean it's a pretty popular design when it comes to modern coins. And yeah, same thing with the drummer boy. I really resonate with that.
Yeah, but can you maybe give me a little bit of education? So I didn't know that clad coins. So we're talking about coins that did not have silver content. The coin that were made past 1965. These coins also toned from interaction with sulfur,
You're saying
right?
the cloud one? Correct.
Yeah. So these also interacted with sulfur, and there was a kind of reaction because what we learned from Jacob in the previous episode was what was on the surface of the Morgan was sulfur interacting with silver, so it was like a silver sulfide kind of compound, I guess. So here we don't have silver, but we still have a reaction of sulfide with the base material that's in these coins. So I guess I was wondering if you knew a little bit about the science here. The sulfur is this thing that's producing the color. Is it also anything have to do with the metal that's in the coin?
Right, yeah. So it's also applied to the clad coins themselves. It also turns it into that kind of rainbow color. So it's not just silver or even copper coins. It also gets onto these clad coins, which is how the rainbow toning was produced.
Oh, okay. So this is just the silver interacting with the environment, not necessarily silver sulfide. I'm sorry. This is just the sulfur reacting with the environment, not necessarily a compound of silver sulfide.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, it also reacts with
Gotcha.
the coin itself as well.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. So we got the Kennedy half. We got the Eisenhower dollar here. Ike dollars are not super collectible. I think there's some people out there that collect these, but it's interesting to get some with toning. Can the value of an Ike dollar with toning really get crazy or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Really good question. Some of the Ike dollars that I've personally seen can have incredible rainbow toning, and I would almost say like monster toning. And yeah, I mean, it's just primarily the design isn't really popular with collectors. But yeah, Ikes can also develop really nice toning, whether it's silver or clad.
Okay, so give us a rough idea about these three coins in terms of value.
Yeah, for sure. So, for example, the first one, 1976 quarter. That one, I don't recall if it was in a 65 or 66 holder. I want to say 65, but in terms of grade, it really wouldn't make too big a difference for the price. I mean, yeah, so something like that would probably be right around 150 to $200. It's got nice, what we refer to most as peripheral toning, or some people would call it
Yeah,
target toning as well. And
yeah.
we also
Okay,
have a 1976 Centennial Kennedy half, and so that one, yeah, it's right around the $300, $400 mark. And we also have the 76 Ike. That one, I'd say it's right around $200. Yeah, maybe a little bit more
okay.
depending on who you're selling to.
Nice. All right, cool. Very good. Thank you. Let's keep going. So this is, I guess, where these three coins. Oh, so this would be the set that they came
Correct.
in.
Yeah, the third party set. There's so many different versions of it. And sometimes there's just one specifically for the quarter, one specifically for the Kennedy, and one specifically for the Ike. But yeah, this is just an
Gotcha.
example of third party board.
So when
That's
you
how
say
it's all
third
created.
party, what do you mean? When you say third party, what do you mean?
Like a lot of them were for like private companies that made boards that were supposed to commemorate that specific design. And so it's
Okay.
not, I guess, not government issued, is what I'm referring to.
Yeah. So I wonder if they would sell these for more than the value of the coins. I'm assuming there was some kind of additional amount here. This is an enterprising company that basically took these coins, put them into a board, and sold this as a bicentennial collection, essentially.
Right.
Is that right?
Correct.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. All right. So we have another good coin. I would say this is what is this? This is the oh, remind me what this design is.
This
This is
is the
Gettysburg, right?
Gettysburg. There it is. Yeah, Gettysburg.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, so this is another example of tab toning. And so these types of tab tone coins, I think it was like Gettysburg, I think Antietam had it, Oregon Trail had it, Norfolk had it, and there's a few more as well. But a lot of these coins that toned this way came from original tab toned sets, if you will. Yeah, so if you go on to the next slide, yeah, there it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
these came in these types of little sets, and oftentimes because of how the little tab was placed, it would develop a really cool pattern. And sometimes the
Hmm.
toning can be phenomenal. Sometimes this particular example with the Oregon, it's okay. It's not what I would consider to be attractive, but I'd say it's,
Yeah.
in terms of toning, it's like mid of the road, nothing special. But sometimes
Okay.
it can tone a very phenomenal color.
Yeah. I've seen these that are a little bit more strong or vibrant or whatever
Right.
with the same exact toning. It comes from these cards, which I'm assuming this is just one of the ways that they probably sold these commemorative halves
Mhm.
to the public. So talk about value in terms of this. We've got a lot of colors in this one, and this really overall fairly attractive Gettysburg coin. There's a lot of these commemorative half dollars. There's a lot of them in the market. They don't start getting expensive until you get into the 66, 67, MS 67, 68 kind of range. So what's the grade in this? And due to the color, what do we look at in terms of market value?
Right, so this coin graded PCS 67, and so a coin like this without the color, it's probably going to be anywhere from 1500 to 1800 in that range. But with the
Okay.
color and just how original the coin really is, that's about 3000 to $3500. And yeah, a lot of collectors
Yeah.
really like just the originality of the coin, and the fact that it has nice
Yeah.
color definitely increases the price.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we got the blue and some of this almost like I mean like an orange. It almost looks like a pumpkin orange of sorts, maybe. Yeah, very attractive, very nice. All right, so this is a little different. This is now going a little bit even more modern. We're looking at here at a silver eagle. So tell us a little bit about the toning on this and what this does to the value of this coin.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a silver eagle with really nice peripheral toning, and a lot of these
Hmm.
types of silver eagles with this kind of a look often came from U.S. issued clamshell boxes. Basically, just kind of like what the name implies, it's a box where you open it like clamshell, and yeah, there it is. And
Yep.
so in terms of value, so this coin, I believe it graded either 67 or 68. It's right around the
Okay.
$800 to $1,200 range, just because it's got really nice rainbow color along the
Yeah.
periphery there.
Have you ever seen a silver eagle that's been from a toning perspective have pushed the value, north of a few thousand dollars,
Yeah, absolutely.
due to the toning?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great point as well, Tony. Yeah, so a large majority of the coins that we've discussed so far and that we will continue discussing, a lot of those I would consider to be mid of the road slash slightly higher end coins that you can typically find in at a coin show. But yeah, to your question, those types of coins, yeah, I've seen ones that are over actually five figures before, and there's many silver eagles that I've also handled that are in the several $1,000 range. It just really
So,
depends on eye appeal.
yeah. So you're referring to like a common year silver eagle that, due to the color, has been north of $10,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, it
interesting. I
just
would love to.
there's one I saw that it was extremely vibrant, incredible
Yeah.
luster, and it's got full obverse toning. Yeah, and here's the thing too,
Hmm.
with pricing on really any toned coins, that is significantly more than what a blast white example would go for. When it comes to pricing, it's very, very subjective. It really is. I've
Of
had
course.
several
Absolutely.
instances where like, a coin to someone is $200, while take it to literally the next dealer at the show right across, and it's $2,000 coin to them, right? So it's very subjective.
Yeah.
It's probably the most subjective part in the coin market when it comes to pricing.
Sure, sure, sure. You don't mention where you got it from, I guess. In that scenario, yeah, that the guy right across the way had this coin. But anyways, all right. So talking to here, so now I recognize this. Our viewers should recognize this from our conversation last week. We have a Morgan dollar with a reverse here. This is also comes from a type of tab toning. So what were these holders? When were these produced?
Yeah, so these were, like you said, tab-toned Morgans, and these were put in these types of holders. They're pretty much also like it's like an album, and you can see along the on the left-hand side there, you saw the three
Yeah,
rings. That's where it's an
for a
album.
binder. Yeah,
And so in terms of when it was produced, I'm not 100% sure. But I want to say probably late 1900s, maybe early 21st century. Because I certainly don't see them produce in this
yeah.
day anymore.
This to me, just based on the construction, I'm seeing this as being late '90s, maybe
Mhm.
early 2000s or something, possibly. But so this would fit a Morgan like this one, and the tab is across the center there. That's
Right.
nice. It's
Yeah.
very nice. So this is a reverse toner. What would be approximately? Well, grade wise here, it's hard to tough because the grade is mostly on from the obverse. But
Mhm.
what was this coin, if you can recall, and what was
Yeah.
the
I
value
believe
of it?
Yeah, I believe it was at 89 in 63 if I'm not mistaken. Let me
Okay,
double
it's a pretty
check
common
my
coin.
notes. Yeah, 89. It was an NGC 63 holder. And yeah, it's so because it's toned on the reverse actually, which is something we'll go on to the next few coins, but it's toned on the reverse and so that's going to bring a little bit less value for the most part. It's about right around 200, maybe 250 in that range. However,
Okay.
because if it was tab toned on the obverse actually, it would probably be in the $500 range. But the way that
Yeah.
they were constructed, the actual albums themselves and how you put the coin in it, if you put it in correctly, it
Hmm.
would be reverse toned. But if you put it incorrectly, it'll be obverse tab toned, which would be more valuable.
Yeah. Interesting. People did not weren't able to foresee that this scenario. Funny, interesting. All right, so now we have this one here. So what can you tell us about this? This is in 1921, so this is the very last year of the Morgan dollar. Morgan dollar was produced up to 1904, and then there was like a break, essentially a period where I think after World War One they wanted to reintroduce a Morgan dollar. I'm sorry, reintroduce a silver dollar. They're working on the design for the peace dollar as a result of World War One peace dollar to commemorate that and celebrate that. But they brought back the Morgan dollar. Interesting tidbit: they actually redesigned the dies again in 1921 to produce the Morgan dollar for this one final year. But anyways, so that's a side note. What can you tell us here about the color I'm looking at, market value, that kind of thing?
Right, absolutely, Tony. So, generally speaking, I mean, 21 Morgans, especially 21P Morgans, aren't anything special. There were so many produced during
Yeah.
that last year. And so, typically speaking, yeah, 21's nothing special. However, 21's typically, they don't really come with nice color. And so, usually
Okay.
21, even P, D, and S minted 21's would generate considerably more money than a really common date earlier on in the series. And so this particular example, it's a 21D in 63. It's right around $3,000 to $3,500. It's got really nice target toning as well. And so this coin was
Mm-hmm.
most likely pulled from a Wait Raymond album. And so we'll also go into that. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so Wait Raymond
Mm.
albums, a lot of really, really fantastic coins with really nice original color came from these types of albums. And yeah, usually albums would produce that kind of peripheral or bullseye slash target toning.
Yeah. So this is also considered natural toning, correct?
Correct.
Because the coin sat in this holder in this album for decades, and the processes that occurred slowly over time ended up changing the color of the coin. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So we can discuss for quite a long time what's natural, what's artificial. But yeah, to your
Yeah.
point, Tony. Yeah. Usually if it's a coin that's put in these types of albums, and it's sat for several years, sometimes decades, then yeah, for the most part that would be considered quote unquote natural toning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the topic of artificial versus natural toning is a nebulous little topic. It's a little bit philosophical. It's an interesting one. I'll give you the floor in a little bit to tell us a little bit what you think about where do you draw the line on that question. But let's move on to the next one. So we have this guy right here. We have a lot of color here, a lot of different colors I see, even though am colorblind, but I do recognize. I mean, yellow is a better color. I understand. Um, and we got a lot of different colors going on here. So tell us a little bit about this coin.
Yeah, for sure. So this is an 83O Morgan, I believe in a 64 holder. And actually, it's funny. This is a coin that I actually sold to a mutual friend of ours, Noah. And yeah, so this coin, it's a classic example of what we consider rainbow toning. It's got so many different colors from, the spectrum of rainbow colors. And yeah, it's overall, it's a fantastic coin with great eye appeal. Very common date, 83Os and 64 are absolutely nothing special. But because of this color, it's one of those coins that I would personally value at right around $4,000 to $5,000.
I was
And
thinking
yeah,
the same. Yeah.
yeah, it's got really nice color, and it's certainly a coin that I wouldn't mind owning again.
Where? How was this color produced? Yeah, if you had to take a guess, was this a mint bag? Was this a treasury bag kind of color?
Yeah, a large majority of these types of tone coins came from original bank bags, canvas bags that had a lot of silver content. And yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
just sat in bank vaults for decades and until someone opened it up and saw, wow, this coin's got a fantastic color. It looks different from all the other coins.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay. All right, interesting. Let's move on to the next one here. And so we have another. I really like this one a lot. This one has a lot of, I guess, purple and I guess magenta colors to it. It has a fantastic look to it. I want to take a stab here at market value. Okay, you can tell me. You're the
I'll tell you the
expert.
grade. It's an
I'm learning.
85O and 65.
Okay, it's an 85O. 85O is that's a common coin, right? Or no?
Very common, very, very common.
Okay, very yeah. It's tough. I mean, there's so many different Morgans, to know all of them in terms of when they get valuable and when it's not. It's really a challenge. But anyways, okay, so the 850 in 65, so a very common coin. We're looking at probably, I'm guessing, $120 for a normal blast white coin, something around there, maybe 150. So with this color, I mean, I like how saturated it is. I think that the focal area is really nice. The deep purplish color right through there. It's not completely covered. We have a bit of a crescent here. I'm thinking this is like $3,500 to $4,500, somewhere in that range.
Interesting. Okay.
Higher
Yeah, I
than
mean,
you.
while you certainly are not wrong, I would personally value it right around $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong at all. I'm sure there's someone out there who are would be more than willing to pay more than my estimate of it. But yeah, from I
Is that
guess
right?
no, but yeah, a coin
I
like
just
this,
yeah, yeah,
it's what we would call crescent toning. You see that little crescent on the bottom there. So most likely, not
yeah,
most likely, but almost certainly a coin sat on top of this coin to produce that kind of pattern. But yeah, it's a very lovely coin, and
yeah.
I handled it for probably less than like 3 weeks, and it was a pretty quick sell for me. Yeah, it's got really nice color for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at this thing and I'm getting my gut feel, I'm still learning about this market, but I'm saying it's 35, and you're asking me for 2,500 for this thing, I would probably pull the trigger and take a chance on it because I think it's. I mean, luster is a huge, huge factor, and that's what I'm not getting out of the picture. This feels pretty lustrous from the picture. I would say, was it in hand?
So it's 85. Oh yeah, I mean it's the type of luster that you would
Was it?
expect from
Oh,
a New
okay.
Orleans mint. But that's a very
Yeah.
good point,
Okay.
Tony, because if this was like on a 80, even a common 80, 80S, 81S, or 82S, I would believe that it would bring considerably more just because the luster is different.
Luster.
Most
Yeah.
people who collect tone coins would prefer S mint over O mint coin. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If it was a common 81S or something like that, your estimate of what 3,000, 4,000 might not be wrong.
Yeah.
But because it's an omen, the
Okay.
luster comes a little more flat, more of a matte look. It would command usually a lower price.
Okay. For the sake of time, let's keep going through these other ones. So this guy,
Yeah,
kind of go. Tell me a little bit about
yeah,
this
for
one.
sure. Real
Yep.
quick. So yeah, this is a common 81S Morgan, but it's got really nice reverse color. And you see those little dots on the very top of the eagle there? That's what we refer to as
Mm-hmm.
textile toning. It's from the pattern in the actual bank
Yep.
bag themselves. That's what caused that kind of textile pattern. So this is actually a very, very common, and as a matter of fact, pretty low grade coin. The obverse has got so much shatter on the cheek on all the high points. It's actually only graded 62. 81S's and 62 probably trade for what, maybe 60 bucks probably. But
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah. Yeah.
reverse
Yeah.
toning on this one and with the textile toning, this is about right around a $1,500 coin, and this was also a pretty quick sell for me as well. If it was on the obverse though, we're talking right around 3,000, potentially more.
Okay. Okay. I know this is referred to as end roll toning, correct? Because of the little sleeves that they would be sitting in, the rolls that would kind of fold over, and then this coin would be on the end of the roll, and you would get this pattern here, right?
Right, absolutely. So exactly, that's what we call as EOR or end of roll toning. And so basically, these types of coins would be on the very end of a roll, a customer wrapped roll.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they would just put the little flaps to cover the surface of the coin, and over decades, it produced really, really nice toning just because of the sulfur content from those paper
Yeah.
wrapped rolls. Yeah, and so this
Yeah.
is an 85, also an 85O, very common. It graded 64. So a coin like this, it's right around $3,000 to $4,000.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. That's kind of probably where I would place it. I'd like to color the other one better, but this is more spectacular. There's more going on here.
Mhm.
Plus, you got the patterns. That's really cool. So pretty used to seeing this as like a target toning. Basically, it looks like a target, obviously. So
Right,
what we're
yeah.
looking at here.
So this more specifically what we would refer to as horseshoe toning, because
Oh, okay.
along the edges there, yeah, but no, technically you are right. It has that like target kind of look to it, but it has more
Okay.
toning along the periphery from the left and right, and also the top. While on the date right there, it's a very thin layer of toning, so it has more of that horseshoe kind of a shape to it. There's some that are more pronounced than others, and ones that look exactly like a horseshoe. So this is kind of more in the middle of like it's a horseshoe, but I can also see it kind of being a target as well. But yeah, this is another common date, 830
Yeah.
and 64. It's probably like a $800 coin in that range. Probably a little bit more if someone really likes that horseshoe kind of a look.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not really much color on the cheek in the focal area of the cheek here. There's good color right in front of the eyes, but yeah, most of the coin is white. I mean, just on a percentage basis, I would say maybe it's 50-50 or so, but because there's a lot of it through the periphery, but overall pretty coin. So this is two-sided, right? Is that the special
Yeah.
aspect here?
So this is a dual-sided coin, and typically I would just show the obverse, but this time I also show the reverse because the reverse has also a really nice color. But yeah, this is the type of coin we'd call cat's eye toning because on the obverse it looks like cat's eye. And what happened
Okay.
is when the coin was most likely in a bank bag, there is a coin that sat on top of the coin, creating one crescent, and over time, usually coins shifted in the bags. Usually, that same exact coin or secondary coin would sit on the opposite end, creating the opposite crescent. So it looks like a cat's eye. And so what makes
Yeah.
this really cool though is not only the cat's eye toning, but it's got a really nice reverse color as well. And it's also an 040 mint coin, which is slightly tougher date for a nice color. But yeah, this is in a
Mm,
65 holder, and I'd say it's right around a $4,000 coin. It's got really, really nice color. And yeah, not the typical kind of coin you'd see for cat's eye, because yeah, like I said, reverse color is pretty cool too.
yeah. Nice. Nice. Okay. And so, what's special about this one? I mean,
Yeah, so now we're
I'll.
getting into really interesting topics, about older holders, and then we can also talk about cat
Mm-hmm.
stickers as well. But yeah, this is a very common 81S coin, but it's got really nice color. So typically a coin like that, it's right around, I'd say $700. But because it's in an old school PCGS rattler holder, it's right around $1,200 to $1,500. And then if you want to add a green cat sticker, it's probably gonna add another $300, $400. But then if you want the big boy, if you want the gold cac, a coin like that with the gold cac, 64, 81S common, but with the color, rattler, gold cac, it's probably gonna be around $3,000. Potentially
Mm,
more as well to someone who really likes collecting old rattlers with gold cacs.
I see. Gold cax, probably a topic for another conversation to explain how all that works. But good segue. Good point here. We have our final little batch here of these old holders. So we have a little CAC sticker right there.
Mhm.
CAC stands for Certified Acceptance Corporation. This is a third party or like a fourth party, whatever you want to call it, that essentially certifies the stated grade, and they put their sort of stamp of approval on the coin as being in the upper tier of quality for the stated grade. So that's we could probably do a whole episode just on explaining and talking about that. But anything else you want to kind of cover on our last slide here before we wrap
Yeah.
up?
I just want to briefly mention that there's so many different types of tone coins, so many different types of tone coins and holders, and so many different hoards, different collections that tone coins can come out of. I just threw up a few examples. There's Redfield holders, there's Paramount holders, there's GSA holders. There's also
Yeah.
coins that are really nicely toned, especially particularly Morgans, from really well-known collections such as the Binion collection or the Binion Hoard, and same thing with the Battle Creek. And these types of coins, because of the pedigree essentially or the provenance, we know like where the coins are from, they would command
Yeah.
even a premium on top of the color premium of the coin. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you have multiplying factors here. You have
exactly.
the rarity of the coin itself. Then you have the color aspect and all the factors that play into a more valuable coin, luster and placement of colors and what colors are on the coin. Then you have what holder the coin is in, and especially if it's in one of these old holders, these rare holders, part of a rare collection like the Battle Creek collection is a very famous collection of toned coins. If it's part of that, the pedigree adds to the value of it. And then lastly, what is the final grade and what, has CAC put their stamp of approval on the coin, so to speak. There's a lot of
A lot of
factors that
variables.
all, yeah, variables and factors that can continue to keep kind of throwing the multiple of what a coin could be worth. Very interesting. So I'm going to stop the share, and I just got two quick questions for you to wrap up. So if somebody is just getting into tone coins, not just Morgans, but across the board, where do you suggest that they start? Any advice to avoid overpaying or buying the wrong thing?
Yeah, I'd say just start small. Coins, I'd say under $100. And yeah, just start from there. Going to different coin shows, going to reputable dealers who offer a wide selection of coins. Yeah, just don't buy anything that is out of your budget, so to speak. And the worst thing that could happen is pretty much spending your entire allowance buying coins, tone coins that really don't command a huge premium. But in terms of like looking at how much coins would typically go for, check out auction records. I'm not being sponsored, but I mean, some of the really great ones, Stacks is a great one, Heritage is a great one, Great Collections is a great one. Yeah, just look at those auction records, how much those types of tone coins would go for.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I would say, my experience is that you have to, sometimes you learn a whole lot through owning something, and sometimes you have to take a little bit of a risk. And as you take more risks and you kind of, learn, some of those risks pan out really well. Some of them maybe don't pan out so much. Your gut feel for where value lies, I think it kind of builds and can develop over time. That's just something that I look back on and I say this is kind of helped me with my business and with collecting or whatever, has been taking some chances along the way. So, but I think it's fantastic advice, starting small, not spending some crazy number after kind of being convinced for, 10 minutes by somebody that this is worth, a whole lot of money. Like, do some research for sure. So what
Absolutely.
is one coin that you're excited about right now? Anything that's something that's just kind of just come in or that you're looking to find? What is exciting Timothy Chen today in terms of coins and colorful coins or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I recently purchased an 81S Morgan dollar, which is very, very common. But it's got really, really nice color. It's a 67 NGC 67 in a with a green tack, and I believe it's a 7 plus shot 8. So something like that. I'm very excited to hopefully get an upgrade on that one. But yeah, overall, just tone coins in general have been really, really great in terms of not only providing a return on my profit, but also in terms of just the joy of owning something that's cool, that's unique. Yeah, so I highly encourage anyone who really likes, unique coins or coins with cool color. You never really know, what you can find, at your local coin shop or at a coin show. Because there are definitely hidden gems to be had, and I know that from personal experience.
All right. Cool. Very cool. Thanks a lot for doing this. Where can people find you today? I mean, do you have a website? What's your main source of, connecting with collectors? Tell us a little bit briefly.
So anyone they could find me through my website, winglibertyrarecoins.com. They could directly also email me, winglibertyrarecoins@gmail.com. So I have my own, of course, my own personal website, but also my eBay store. I also have Instagram page, winged_liberty_rare_coins. Yeah, so those are the primary ways that you guys can reach out to me if you guys have any questions or just want to chat about tone coins.
Anyway, that's that's awesome, man. Thank you for the Information about reaching out to you for sure. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on, giving us a little information here about these various areas. I think tone coins is a segment of the hobby that a lot of people find very interesting. It's been great to do a kind of a two-part episode with a focus just on Morgans, and then one a little bit of Morgans is again, it's a big part of your business, but also these other denominations for people to get into that they can that they can get into at much lower price points to enjoy some works of art, so to speak. So. Anyways, thank you so much again for doing this. It's been great, and I guess I will see you at the ANA show next month.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much, Tony, for having me on here. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you again at the upcoming ANA show.
All right, see you.
All right, take care.